You know the Nativity story, right? We all do. It's that peaceful, quiet scene we see every Christmas. But what if I told you that just beneath that calm surface, it's absolutely packed with fascinating historical puzzles and some really deep mysteries? Well, today, we're going to unpack those very questions. And we're using Pokshenot III's amazing book as our guide. Let's get into it.
Here's where we're headed. We're going to start with the tangled roots of the family tree, then we'll follow that incredible journey of the Magi, we'll crack the code on why there are two different dates for Christmas, and finally, we'll see how all of these questions actually lead us right to the heart of the story, to faith itself.
So let's start right at the beginning, with the family tree. Now, you'd think a list of names would be pretty straightforward, but nope. The genealogy of Jesus holds some pretty big surprises right from the get-go.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The Gospels make a point of including certain women in this lineage, and these women have some, well, let's just say complicated, even scandalous backstories. So the obvious question is, why? Why put them in there?
I mean, we're talking about Tamar, who was involved in some serious deception, Rahab, who was a prostitute, Ruth, who wasn't even an Israelite, she was a foreigner, and Bathsheba, who is very pointedly called the wife of Uriah, which is a direct call out to King David's huge sin. This is not the perfect, squeaky clean lineage you might expect for the Messiah.
And here, we get this absolutely beautiful answer. According to St. John Chrysostom, putting them in the family tree sends this incredibly powerful message. Christ's lineage was never about finding perfect people. It was about divine grace. He came to be part of our messy, complicated human story, to save everyone, not just the people who seem to have it all together.
Okay, but the family tree has another puzzle, and this one has really stumped people for ages. You've got Matthew and Luke, and they give us two totally different family trees for Joseph. How does that even work? How can they both be right?
So, let's break it down. Matthew starts with Abraham and traces the line down, really focusing on the royal, kingly line. And he says Joseph's father is Jacob. Okay, but then Luke starts with Jesus and goes all the way back up to Adam, the father of all humanity, and says Joseph's father is Heli. So two different fathers, two different directions.
The key that unlocks this whole thing is an ancient custom called levirate marriage. The law was, if a man died without any children, his brother had to marry the widow to carry on the family name. So this means Joseph had two fathers, a biological one and a legal one. And that's it. That's the solution. Matthew is tracing the legal, royal line through Jacob. Luke is tracing the natural, biological line through Heli. It's two different perspectives on the very same unified family tree. Pretty clever, right?
All right, so from a family tree rooted in the earth, let's now look up, way up, to the heavens. Our next stop is that famous journey of the visitors from the east and that incredibly mysterious star that led them.
First things first, who were these Magi? Now, our Christmas carols call them three kings, but the source material says they were more like sages, super wise men, scholars, maybe even priests from the east, probably Persia. These guys were experts in astronomy and ancient prophecies.
And that brings us to their guide, the star. But was this just a comet? Or maybe a bunch of planets lining up? Well, the evidence in the story suggests it was something way, way stranger.
I mean, just think about what this star did. Regular stars don't move from the east to the west like that. They don't just appear and then vanish at critical moments in a journey. And they definitely don't shine so brightly during the day that you can see them when the sun is out. But the real kicker, it came down low and hovered over a single house. No planet, no comet, no star does that. This was less like an astronomical event and more like a personal, supernatural GPS.
But you know, this miraculous journey had a dark side. When the Magi got to Jerusalem, their search caught the attention of the deeply paranoid King Herod. He tells them, hey, when you find him, come tell me so I can worship him too. But of course, he had no intention of worshiping. He wanted to kill. Suddenly, this spiritual pilgrimage has the tension of a political thriller.
Okay, now for a question that pops up literally every single year, the date. Why in the world are there two different dates for Christmas? Why can't we all just get on the same page?
Yeah, this is a big point of confusion for a lot of people. You have December 25th, which a lot of Western and some Eastern churches celebrate. And then you have January 7th for many Coptic, Orthodox, and other Eastern churches. So is this some kind of huge theological fight? A split in belief?
The answer is actually way simpler than you'd think. It all boils down to this one number, 13. 13 days.
And the source material makes this crystal clear. This has nothing to do with faith or doctrine. It's all about math. It's just a difference between two calendars, the old Julian calendar and the more updated Gregorian calendar. There's a 13-day gap between them. So really, everyone is celebrating on the same ancient day. It just lands on a different date on our modern calendars. It's a scientific issue, not a spiritual one.
And this brings us to our final and, honestly, our most important section. We've wrestled with genealogies, we've looked at a supernatural star, we've solved a calendar riddle. But these are all just the details, right? What's the real point of it all?
See, what the source suggests is that digging into these questions isn't just an academic exercise. Every detail, every puzzle, when you peel it back, reveals the true heart of the story, the real motivation that was driving everything and everyone.
And the Magi just say it, plain and simple. After their long, dangerous journey, after all their scientific calculations, after their tense meeting with the king, it all came down to this one simple goal. Their trip wasn't about discovery for its own sake, it was about devotion.
And that right there is the pivot for the entire story. The complicated family tree proves he's one of us. The miraculous star proves the creation itself is pointing the way. But the goal was never just to find an address in Bethlehem. The goal was an encounter. The Magi's journey didn't end when they found the house. It ended when they fell to their knees in worship.
So you see, every one of these questions, far from shaking the story, actually makes it deeper. It shows a faith that's woven into real history, into real families, into real struggles. And that leaves us with one last thought. The Magi took this incredible journey, following a light in the sky. The question for us today is, what journey are we willing to take to find what we're searching for?